In today's video, we're gonna create this motion poster design in After Effects. Let's get started. Let's create a new composition. It's gonna be 1080 by 1080 and I'll make it 10 seconds and rename this main comp. Hit OK. So I have a bunch of assets here. All the links will be there in the description down below. So first things first, let's click on this and drag it on the new composition, and we're gonna mask this out. It's gonna be a very basic mask here. Just draw like this. You don't have to be precise. Once I get this done, I'll be back. You can find the links to the timestamps for the next step. Alright, once you're done with that, import the other one and we'll do the same for this as well. So I'm going to drag and drop this inside the new composition and grab the pen tool, make it full screen, and I'm going to do the same for this. Alright, I'm done with this, and let me just go back to the first one, which is this, and I'm gonna rename this Control K and rename it 1. Hit OK. And what I'm gonna do is select the layer, right click, go to layer styles, and I'm gonna add a stroke. To shut off this mask, I'm gonna click this and let me go to the stroke and change it to whatever color you like. I'll go with white. Increase the size of this stroke. Maybe that's looking great. And what I'm gonna do is copy these layer styles. Click this, edit, and copy, and go to the next one. And first of all, I'm gonna hold down Control and K to bring up the composition settings, and I'm gonna rename this to 2 and hit OK. Select this, add it, and paste it. And you can go inside this and you can adjust the size of the stroke. Maybe 30. Okay, I'll stick with that. And let me go and reposition it here. Go to the first one, which is this. And I'm gonna duplicate this, Control D to duplicate it, and collapse this, and I'm gonna delete these layer styles. Grab the ellipse tool, zoom in, and I'm gonna mask out this speaker. You don't have to be precise with this, just a rough mask, something like that, and mask 1. And I'm gonna do it for this as well. Make sure you select the layer and zoom in and create a mask, something like this. Okay, and once you're done with that, go to the effects and presets and search for bulge and drag and drop it on that, and go to the effects and controls, select this bulge center, select this and pick this center, and I'm going to increase the horizontal and vertical radius here so that it covers the speaker roughly. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some expression to this bulge height. So hold down Alt and click on this, and you can see a little expression dialog box pops out here, and we're gonna type in posterize time and 4, and I'm gonna add a wiggle 1 comma and I don't know, maybe 4. And if I play that, okay, you see that has an animation like that. Okay, so it will take some time to render, so I'm good with that. And what I'm going to do is duplicate this bulge effect, Control D to duplicate it, and select this bulge center and change it to the other one here. And you can also refine the horizontal and vertical radius so that it covers the other speaker. Okay, so once you're done with that, let's move on to the next one, which is this. And I'm going to do the same for this. I'm going to Control D to duplicate it, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. But in case of this, I'm going to mask out only this speaker. So just quickly do that and double click on this mask, and I'm gonna rotate it like this, and that covers up the roughly like that, something like that. You don't have to be precise, super precise on that, and I think that's okay. And I'm gonna do the same for this. I'm gonna select these layer styles and delete the layer styles and drag and drop this bulge effect on this layer and click it here, and I'm gonna adjust the horizontal and the vertical radius again. Alright, once you're done with that, let's work on the title. So I have a texture here from Texture Labs, and I'm gonna drag and drop it to the new composition just like we did. So if you turn on this transparency, you don't have any transparent layers here. So I'm gonna go to the effects and presets and type in set, and I'm gonna drag and drop this set matte on top of this texture and change this to luminance, so you have a transparent background like that. Okay, so let's grab the text tool and just quickly type in our text. So I'm going to use this font and scale it up. Okay, something like that. So that's fine. Let's go to the next one. I'm going to grab another texture or maybe I'm going to rename this first. Control K and rename this name. Hit OK, and I'm gonna drag in the new textures on this new composition tab, and I'm gonna do the same, or in fact maybe go to here and copy the set matte effect and go to the next one, which is paste it there. Okay, so grab the text tool and type in your text and Fab 19. Okay, so this is just a dummy text. You can write whatever you want. And I'm gonna scale this down and add this paragraph like this, something like this. Okay, I'll leave this for now and hold on Control and K to bring up the composition settings, and I'm gonna rename this date. So hit OK. So I think we have all the elements that we need for the final composition, and let's go back to the main composition that we have created in the beginning, and let's go and create a background. For this I have a texture which I downloaded, and let's drag and drop this inside the composition, the main composition. Okay, so I'm here with a texture and I'm gonna turn this at 3D layer. If you don't find this, you can hit F4 to toggle between these menus. Okay, so check that to bring up to make this a 3D layer. And what I'm gonna do is hit P to bring up the position, hold down Shift R to bring up the rotation, and hold down Shift and S to bring up the scale. So I'm gonna set a position, keyframe, scale, and orientation. Okay, so if I hit U, it only shows me that keyframes, and if I hold down Shift and hit page down once, I'll scale this up and pick a random spot in the texture, and I'm gonna set a blank keyframe for this orientation. Hold down Shift and page down once again and move it around, or maybe even scale it, or even rotate it like this. Okay, something like that. So just pick a random location, hold on Shift and P, page down once again. I'll move it somewhere here, or maybe even scale it and rotate it like this. I'll do it again. Okay, so let's get it down a touch and maybe even rotate it like this. Okay, so once you're done with that, hold down Alt and click on this position, and I'm gonna add an expression, loop out, which is this loop out. Okay, you're gonna do that for the scale as well. Hold down Alt and click on this and loop out, and I'm gonna do the same for the orientation. Hold down Alt and click on this and type in loop out, select this, And if I close these and if I see here, you can see this, but it's not happening like the way we want. Select all these, right click and toggle hold keyframes. And if I play it back now, you can see that it's a stop motion style animation. Okay, so that's the background basically. And I'm gonna rename this BG for background. And I have another texture, which is this. I'm gonna drag and drop it inside this and make it a 3D layer as well. Just this, and maybe even scale it down to something like this. And I'm gonna set this blending mode, so if I hit F4 it shows me the blending mode, and maybe soft light. That looks pretty nice to me. Okay, so once we have the background ready, drag and drop this one composition that we have created earlier, and everything will be a 3D layer. So make this a 3D layer and maybe scale it down somewhere here. And I'm going to do the same for number 2, which is this. Drag and drop it, make it a 3D layer, hit S to bring up the scale and scale it down. And number 2 will be just below number 1. That brings that to the back. That's nice. And let me arrange it somewhere here. And number 1, reposition it somewhere here. So let's select these layers, both these layers, and let's pre-compose this. Right click and pre-compose and rename this BG for background. Hit OK and make this a 3D layer and hit P and move it away from the subject and scale it back up again. Okay, that's cool. And let's select this number 2. Hit P on the keyboard and I'll move it away from the first one, and I'm gonna scale it back up somewhere like this. Okay, once we are done with that, let's go and create a camera. Go to layer, new, and create a camera. Hit OK, and I'm gonna create a null object, and I'm gonna make this a 3D layer. And I'm going to parent the camera to the null so that this will be the controller. Okay, so once we have created the camera, it looks a little bit different. No worries, let's scale it back up here. And if I select this null, hit P, and if I move it around, you can see some parallaxing going on. That's very, very nice. All right, once you have that in place, let's go and drag in the date. Let's drag and drop it between this and make this a 3D layer as well, and hit P and send it backwards somewhere here, and maybe scale it down, and you can move it somewhere here. All right, so let's put this one for now, and let's drag in the name, drag and drop it on top of number 1. Make this a 3D layer. So you always want to make this a 3D layer because we're working with 3D layers. And there you have it. Maybe P and move it towards the camera and hit S to scale it down. Oops. Somewhere here, and maybe even rotate it, something like this. All right, that looks great. And maybe I want to move the characters 1 and 2 to the left side, and maybe the name maybe smaller like this. And all right, let's add another text. And let's type food, drink, and parking. Okay, so let's use this paragraph. Scale it down. Oops, not this. Scale it down and let's adjust this. Scale it down and make it here. And I'm gonna, reverse this. Something like this, and make this a 3D layer as well. Move it towards the camera, or maybe scale it down again. You can just refine this however you want. So I'm gonna add this somewhere here and duplicate this and move it up here, and maybe reverse this to only black. Entry, I'm gonna set it $15. Okay, so that's how this setup looks. And we're gonna animate the characters now. Okay, so let's go to number 1 here. So hit P on the keyboard to bring up the position, hold down Alt and click on this position, and I'm gonna type in posterize time. I'm gonna set it to, I don't know, 12, and wiggle to 2,5. If I play it back now, let's see, you can see it's moving like that. That's looking great. I'm gonna copy this expression, Control C, and I'm gonna go to, let's select this number 2, P on the keyboard, and hold down Alt and click on this and Control V to paste it, and you'll have the same exact thing. Okay, so I'm gonna move this, I think number 1 somewhere here like this, and you can always refine and adjust the position of your subject. All right, once you have this, let's start animating the camera. Let's push it away up here. Okay, hit P on the keyboard to bring up the position, go to around 1 second here, set a keyframe, and I'm gonna push it in right side. I'm gonna go and focus this date. Maybe I want this to be the foreground of the date, so that we have some depth, something like that. Okay, that's looking great. And if I go to the first frame, I'm gonna zoom in from somewhere here, zoom in somewhere here. Okay, so if I play it back, that's looking great. And if I select all of these keyframes, F9 for easy ease, and if I open the graph, let's smooth out the graph to something like this. Okay, so if it comes here, maybe that's a little too fast. Let's drag it away. Great. And from there it goes to maybe around this. I'm gonna go to the left side here and maybe go focus on this speaker somewhere here, something like this. If we go and select all these keyframes, go to the graph editor, and you're gonna change the graph to something like this. Okay, if I play it back, and let's move maybe around 5 seconds, and I'm gonna zoom it out. Zoom it out and reposition it and focus on the text. Zoom out, maybe focus on the text here. Something like this. Alright, so make sure you always adjust this graph so that it's smooth. So if you play it back, goes here, and comes back up, focus here, and around 7 seconds, it's gonna go and zoom out all the way. Okay, that's very nice. Let's go ahead and add some blur to this. Okay, so once you hit here, I'm gonna go to and add an effect to this layer 1. So I'm gonna search for blur, and I'm gonna use camera lens blur. Takes a lot of time, so I'm just going for Gaussian blur. Okay, so if you are doing this, you can go for camera lens blur. That will look a bit nicer, but for the sake of this tutorial, I'm gonna go with this Gaussian blur. Drag and drop it on the layer 1 and increase this to maybe around 20, so that you have this out of focus. So if you come here and go here, see out of focus, that's great. And if you once you come back here, maybe right about here, I'm gonna set a keyframe for the blurriness, and I'm gonna scrub through the timeline right about here. Maybe I'm gonna set it to 0. Hit U to bring up the keyframes. Hit F9 for easy ease. It is in focus. Okay, and the final thing I added was go to the project panel and add a textures on top of this. Add a texture, and I'm gonna set this blending mode to screen, and voila, there you have it. That's how you create this type of collage style motion poster in After Effects. I hope you learned something from this tutorial. This is Motion Designer, and I will see you in my next video. Take care.